The Apostle Paul once encouraged first-century Christians by saying, "If someone claims to have faith but doesn't act on it, that faith is useless, it's dead." This means that real faith must be backed by action if we want to be friends of God, Jehovah. Today, let's continue discussing David's example. After praying, we must do our best. Psalm 141 verse 5 says, "Let the righteous strike me, that is a kindness. Let them rebuke me, that is like oil on my head. My head will not refuse it. Yet my prayer is ever against the deeds of evildoers." If someone commits a serious sin but refuses to change according to Jehovah's standards, they can no longer remain in the congregation and will be disfellowshipped. This is an act of mercy from Jehovah. It serves to protect the rest of his people from bad influences while also giving the wrongdoer a chance to wake up spiritually. We've seen news stories about young people getting lost in the mountains, exhausted and suffering from hypothermia. Some of them fall asleep in the cold and never wake up again. But if a friend were there, constantly slapping their face to keep them awake while waiting for rescue, it could save their life. Getting slapped isn't pleasant, but it could be the very thing that keeps them alive. Similarly, David understood that being corrected by righteous people was ultimately for his benefit. Sometimes we feel that others' advice is too harsh. Of course, those giving advice should try to be kind and considerate in their approach. But if we are the ones receiving advice, we should focus more on the message rather than the delivery. We can ask ourselves, even if I don't like how this person said it, is there some truth in what they're saying? A wise person sees every piece of advice as an opportunity for growth. Psalm 143 verse 5 says, "I remember the days of old. I meditate on all your works. I consider the work of your hands." David often reflected on how Jehovah cared for his people and how he personally rescued him many times. He constantly reminded himself of Jehovah's blessings. When it comes to meditating on God's mighty acts, David actually had fewer examples than we do today. We know about David's life, the first-century Christians, Jesus' ministry on earth, and even modern-day history of Jehovah's guidance and protection. Jehovah supports those who put His will first in their lives. Right now, before the Great Tribulation arrives, His people are busy giving a final witness to the world. This is something truly worth reflecting on. We must also adjust our thinking. Psalm 143 verse 10 says, "Teach me to do your will, for you are my God. May your good spirit lead me on level ground." If we spend all our time and energy pursuing worldly knowledge and success, we won't have a solid future. That's why we don't chase after material desires or promote any political ideology, whether Eastern or Western. After all, the real power behind these systems is Satan. It's a great blessing to know the truth, because through it we gain a clear understanding of Jehovah's will and the hope of eternal life. Jehovah teaches us not to live selfishly, but to have the same mindset as Jesus Christ, living to do God's will. No matter what kind of life we lived before, that's in the past. Now that we've been taught the truth, we must do what pleases Jehovah, studying His Word, praying, and preaching. The Psalms record David's heartfelt prayers to Jehovah and his actions that followed. He deeply felt Jehovah's love and help, and he wanted others to experience it too. After praying, we must do our best. When we do our part, we will see for ourselves that following Jehovah's guidance is always the wise choice. May you continue to find joy in knowing Jehovah,